All right. 14 cards that cannot be pawned, yet some have tried.
I stand by all my pawns.
And we don't mean Kessia pawns. We mean actual pawn shopping.
Pawn shopping, yeah.
Wayland, the big Wayland, the big dub, dub, West Side Wayland.
You're gonna get a shot. Just stop.
All right, let's get serious here. Wayland, starting thoughts.
Starting thoughts. Wayland did pretty good overall. There was nothing that really jumped out and made them like just the dynamite faction that they used to. Well, punitives kind of helped a little bit. We'll talk about that more afterwards, but they made it okay. They didn't make out like bandits like some of the other factions, but they did well, and it definitely diversified their Weyland portfolio.
Yeah, I think it just kept them kind of steady. You know what I mean? Yep. We said it with the criminals; they were already at the peak of their game, and it just kind of steadied them out. I don't think they got any better. I don't think they got any worse, personally.
No. Yeah, it was a good balance on the scales of justice here, of what they got. They obviously you might think they got a little more than other people because they're one of the 2 identities that came out during the cycle.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're going to say anything, then I would say yes, they got a lot because they got a whole new way to play the game. But apart from the support cards, fitty.
Stop with it.
All right, so let's get right into it, and let's start off with that new identity, the Grindle, Power Unleashed.
Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about this yet, have we?
We did a whole video about the Grindle. There's I'll just say my bit first. I'm not in love with it just because it's extra credits, but it's a bad pub that could mean more than the extra credits that you get from the identity.
Why don't we just go into like kind of not rehashing what we've already talked about? Kind of just talk about like how we've seen it played and whether
what I've seen is I've seen it come directly out of the original Wayland one came out, and this one went in, and that was the deck. And it's for some people they liked it because they could tag sooner and bag sooner, but that's it. So what have you seen?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like it's not like a huge like new deck. It's just a spin. It's just kind of like a faster, more aggressive style of the other deck, and the other deck is built for longevity. This is built for
you could rock a tag and bag before they saw their first blast creep. Basically, that's the value I saw in it.
I do, after play and all that other goodness with it, I do prefer it. I think it's the better of the Wayland choices still.
Glitch on our site does the same thing too, I should mention.
I did see it ran. It either did really, really well or not so well. There was no in between. People that I came up against playing it, maybe they just didn't get their card draws or something didn't click, right? Like you can't judge a player by playing the one game. But,
no.
I think that's a good point though, because I think with the original Wayland, there's a lot more consistency, and I know that's what you like about that. And I can see what you're saying about that. This wouldn't have the same consistency as a regular Wayland deck. Mm-hmm. That's a point I never thought of.
So it was a game changer for Wayland, and it did open up speed. It gave Wayland that speed boost.
Yeah, if you're looking for a short game, this was the one to take, but as soon as your game hit mid-range, long game, you're far better off taking the original.
For anything else, I think we pretty much all stand by what we've said in our review of it at the time.
Mm-hmm. Everything holds true.
Nothing really changed. 3 agendas came out. I don't think any other corp got as many agendas as Wayland did, but I don't know. Let's get right.
I honestly don't think some of them got 2. But
yeah.
This might have been the only 3. Correct us in the quotes in the comments below. They will.
The first one we saw, and this is pre-Grindle. This was geothermal fracking. This was an agenda that I saw instantly in Wayland decks. Yeah. There was, being a 4/2, its power was just too good for Wayland. It was just too suited for them.
Yeah.
Anything else there?
Yeah, every Wayland deck I played against had this. You didn't run too many of them.
No, I ran either 1 or 2, depending on what the agenda build was.
But you were the person that ran the least amount of them, and you still had 2. So that's saying, I think
because they were
everybody else.
nice. They were super nice once you got them.
And
off.
I mean, yeah, it's just hard to keep them down when they can just click for 14. So yeah,
that's the point.
But it was also the start of the bad publicity stuff in the cycle, right? Like, you know, this was the card that if I knew I was playing Wayland, I knew geothermal fracking was in there, and I knew at some point they're going to use it. So they're at least going to have 2 bad publicity, guaranteed, because there's just no rhyme or reason why you wouldn't pop this token.
Oh yeah,
right. So
it's a lot of moolah. A lot of moolah.
And apart from that, there was not very many Weyland decks running bad pub removal.
I think once you
start,
once it's just a trait. You know, like we've said, you tried the not entirely, like you weren't like just face first, but you had a couple of these cards in there that if you needed them, you could use them.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you liked more about geothermal fracking over.
Yeah, you save it for later.
And you don't necessarily
need it right now.
Yeah. So that's what I think its power over. I can't remember
hostile takeover.
Hostile takeover. Yeah. I think that's the power that this one has over that, is the fact that it keeps you modular and you can keep your bad publicity lean. But I think that being said, I think anybody scoring this is just going to go for the cash and go for the kill.
It's
not
still
really
still very relevant in Wayland builds.
Oh
today,
yeah.
Right, there's
you still see it.
You can't use bad publicity in C-source traces, so it's irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
You could have 14.
Moving on to the next one, we have the cleaners. This is one that a couple people might have saw during Plugged In and got a lot of people pumped up for, because it was the 1 additional meat damage in an already kill faction at the time. There was no reason why early decks in the Genesis cycle with Wayland weren't running Scorched Earth. So there was, now you have to decide, do you want to run a 5-3 agenda?
It definitely opened up a new kind of possibility for Wayland, right? Because it's not like they always had the ability to get 5 for 3s, but they never had the ability to get a 5 for 3 that's so tailored to their wants and needs already. So this just was like, how do I do this?
It was once you could put this in, and you could put in punitive, and then I'm like, okay, if they take it anyway, I'm still gonna deal them 3 damage. You know what I mean? So it kind of, for me, that's what balanced the scales, and I was like, I'm gonna do this, and it was in quite a few different renditions of my Wayland decks when I had them going, because you could put these things out and you could score them. You still can with Wayland, right? Because they're monster ice. But
although that being said, the Waylands that I come across, this has not really been a factor.
Really?
I've never, nobody's ever pulled off a combo where they've needed that 1 additional meat damage.
No, it just helps, because once it's out, it's that super pressure, right? Because then your plascretes are just that much worse now. You know what I mean? And just it eats away at people.
It's definitely going to be on the radar more, because I don't know. The more I think about it, it's like net damage is kind of like a poke you kind of damage, and it seems like meat damage is like a bulk amount. So maybe once they come into like kind of the death by 1,000 cuts Wayland, maybe that's an aspect that we haven't seen before, and the cleaners would like.
I think it is going to be more relevant, maybe in a cycle or so from now, because it'll be one of those agendas that will be on the back burner, and you're not really expecting to see it. All of a sudden someone scores a cleaners and then drops like next turn Scorched Earth or whatever other meat damage is out there, and you're not as prepared for it as you are right now. But as of right now, I don't see this agenda as powerful as it was during Plugged In, because Plugged In you didn't, when you were playing those challenge decks, we've never seen this before.
Yeah, no.
So
it can be tough.
But it almost, in people that I have seen using it, they are using it to try and get additional meat damage, and then I kind of know what their deck is tailored for. Like nobody's ever had it in there as a bluff.
Yeah,
No, 'cause
I don't know why.
It would just be better to take government contracts, right? Because then you can at least get some cash out of the deal. Right?
Yeah.
So
You know, so if a cleaners is scored, I pretty much know you have some way to try and do some meat damage in there that is coming eventually.
yeah.
On to the last one here, we have the Vulcan cover-up. This is a 3-1 that I don't know. I'm just not behind this 3-1.
Never saw it once,
No.
and I never once put it in my decks either. Malice was super surprised. He's like, "How come you don't have Vulcan cover up in here?" I'm like, "Man, it's just 2 meat damage."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How am I supposed to rip this thing off and kill you in one turn? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
This is the death by 1,000 cuts thing, but it just it doesn't work really well with meat damage, not with the card pool that they have.
I never saw it. I never encountered it. Running against it, I've never used it.
Yeah.
When the runner steals it, it gives a bad pub.
Yeah, even another downside.
Yeah, so
It's like, yeah, it's not functional. It's not a functional 3-for-1. I mean, 2-for-1, then it's risky. It's worth it because you can score it out of hand, but it's a 3-for-1.
It
So
might be
it's not,
worth because I'm thinking of a deck with it now, and it would be kind of like more of a shell game Weyland, where you set this up and it's sitting there with 2 tokens, and you kind of lead them to believe that it's a trap. Then you try to advance the cleaners, and you punitive advance and score for like 5.
you'd have to have some.
It seems kind of, but you see where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
That doesn't that's not like a convoluted combo. Like it's still
It could happen.
That could happen, right?
It probably has happened.
Because recently, if somebody is playing Wayland and they have counters on something, I don't really think that they've splashed in traps. Because I usually think most of their stuff comes from tagging stuff from
Think
NDM.
Grindle or
Or maybe the snares or something. But with Grindle out now, I don't want them to have something down with advancement tokens on it. I would rather clear it because I don't want them to load a Grindle and just get cash. So it's a very weird agenda that maybe somewhere along the line we'll see it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit now.
Start advancing that behind off the grid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's an off the grid deck.
So 3 agendas. Obviously, geothermal fracking we like the best there. Cleaners is a close.
Depends on your build. but
Maybe
it's-
let's not say a close second, but
I'd say Vulcan cover up and the cleaners are tie for
Pretty
me.
tied?
I think they're tie. Yeah.
No, I'd take the cleaners first. I'd find a way to make it work first before I try to make Vulcan cover up work. Just simpler.
You could theoretically set up 3 Vulcans and score them in one turn.
You could. That's really convoluted though.
miracles.
Miracles, small miracles.
Oh.
So getting into the assets now. The first asset we have is the executive for Wayland, which is Elizabeth Mills. I have seen this used with Grindle in small amounts, basically just using it to trash the bad pub that you start, but it was really few and far between. It was a card that you don't want to see anything that you're relying on trash for 1. If this is your bad publicity clear, you don't, it's, if you lose it and you're screwed.
Yeah,
right?
I don't even I never once considered putting it in just because it's just so one time you can remove the 1 bad pub once when you res her, you know what I mean? And then you can trash her to get rid of a location. I'm like, oh, okay, that's okay. But then you start thinking about you start looking at your deck composition and then you go, wow, this is super taking up a spot. You know what I mean?
Other than the glaring flaw, in my opinion, that when somebody is R&D digging, this thing is easy to get out of the way. But I don't look so much as it kind of removing the bad pub as trashing a location, because I know, especially in Wayland, if somebody has a personal workshop, they can exploit the crap out of your bad publicity, right? So,
but you know how
they're basically installing all their programs for free.
To me, you can really judge the value of this card by saying Workshop was very, very heavy in our area.
Yeah.
People were using it out of faction, but nobody was using Elizabeth Mills.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're basically saying it was guaranteed that someone was going to drop a Workshop against you, but nobody was running this card.
We didn't have too many Weyland players, to be fair. Not in our core group.
No.
But I mean, like for the amount of stuff people put on workshops and pop them out.
Yeah, there was a few tournaments down there where you go. There's literally all you do is play green.
The only
time.
downside to trying to pop a workshop is the fact that after you res this, they have the potential to like clear the if they have the money, they could just clear their programs out on the table, right? Because that's the order, as far as I know. But it still does get rid of that workshop. You know what I mean? And the other downside to not, or reason why you wouldn't want to run this to get rid of pawn shop is that you can have multiple pawn shops working all at the same time. Like there's no downside to having 3 in your deck if you can fit them.
What about if somebody built their entire economy on an ASOP?
That's not a location. It's a connection.
He's not a location?
No.
I thought he was.
He was.
No. He's a connection.
That was connection and location.
I thought he was a location. Aesop's pawn shop. It's like a location.
Yeah, you think that a location would be a location.
Look at us Googling. Go on.
Yeah, keep going.
And it was really weird, the remove one bad pub, and it kind of neutralized itself out, because as soon as you used her,
you got the bad pub back.
You know, you're taking it again.
It made things a little bit less easy for the runner for a few turns, right?
Yeah.
Until you popped it. But I mean,
So it was no
they could have done without that.
no rhyme or reason. I mean, she was there.
She was there, but I didn't see her.
Take it or leave it. Yeah. I did, like I said, but it
We were
wasn't.
both right. It's a location connection.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was super right.
Did you say it was
I guess
both?
it was both. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Moving along. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to Mills?
No.
Say it like you didn't give a care for it.
No.
I don't like her haircut.
I like her haircut.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
It's a nice tailored business.
Darth Vader-y.
I don't know. I don't like the bangs.
This was the asset that really, I think, gave that boost to Wayland in this set.
Not just Wayland.
Yeah. This was
using this bloody thing, yeah.
Grindle Refinery. You know, if you didn't think Wayland made money before, you know, if there was somebody out there that was like, man, my Wayland's just not making enough money.
There's no bank in this.
Well, yeah. We definitely like Grindle Refinery. It should have. The flavor text should have just said, "We print money."
Yeah.
Right? Like there was.
They are the Fed.
Like I seen somebody put this down, advance it, and then use it the same turn.
Yeah. Well, doesn't it get like psychographics and all that ridiculous stuff?
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, now I've got like $56. You're like, okay. Oh, this will be a good game. This will be fun.
Right? It reses for 0.
Yeah, the only thing I could say is at least it doesn't work with like Blue Sun and the new identity that's coming out, because then it would just be like, could you imagine?
Oh, yeah. There's no way they would have let that slide though.
But that being said, though, I think this is a Weyland card that is going to be showing up next cycle.
This card is
Right.
legit.
Yeah.
Like this card is
What's the siren? Look at the
legit.
splash, dude. It's only 2.
It's not.
Come on. I know.
It's cheaper than a celebrity gift.
I know, you
deck.
just see it in NBN. That's where I saw it the most.
Yeah, to me, there's. I mean, other than the trash cost of 2, which is reasonable for this card, there's really nothing to be said. It's a well balanced card. Res is for 0, trash is for 2. It's 2 influence, and I like the fact that it's a click to use.
Yeah.
Right, it's not something that somebody can.
Yeah, it's not a Thomas Haas.
Yeah, you're not running, and then I can res and just take the cash.
Yeah.
Right?
Plus, just the time taken to get it up to strength, too, right? I mean, it's a big investment. It's a big risky investment for most decks.
I don't think it's too risky, because I like the fact that, I mean, you're investing the click to install it, and the 2, like in my opinion, I would install advance, right? And then for them to go get it, they have to run through whatever nightmare you set up for them, and then they have to. So they've already paid that click to run at it, and then they have to pay the same investment you paid to lose it. So there's a swing aspect to the game. So in my opinion, like, losing this with 2 advancement counters, I don't consider a loss too much, right?
I'm just thinking in terms of them just getting it if you need it and they get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's where I come. That's where the brain goes first.
No, I hear you on that one for sure.
Yeah.
But I just think it's I don't like it's flawless. Like it's I mean pulling it out of your deck, yeah, you make a good point. But I think if you got it in your hand, throw it down, advance it. Doesn't matter what ice. If it costs them $3, it's gonna cost them $5 altogether.
You haven't invested that much, and realistically, and I think it goes back to what I was saying before about when we were talking about Vulcan. I don't want a card to sit there in Weyland because of this card and build up advancement tokens. So I mean, you put this down and advance it like twice, and if it's behind a couple ice, maybe some are rezzed, maybe some are not. But let's be honest, it's Weyland, so you've got some pretty heavy taxing ice. So you're already for, the possibility of spending the 2 credits, and if you're counting the click to install it, making the runner do, a suicide run to trash this when you didn't even care.
The suicide run is a really good important part to talk about because like if you're at match point and you know that they have a lot of bank to get through your server, there wasn't many options for Weyland before other than bluffing out like a hostile takeover or a 1-pointer or something like that to make them drain their cash. This one you're just like install advance. I could possibly win next turn. Then they go in, spend 10 or whatever credits, and then you're like, okay, now I'll install advance, and I've got the game in.
Even though Oversight AI is in faction there, I mean, Wayland Ice, some of the good stuff's not cheap. So if you don't even make a run at this, to give Wayland that option to take it up, you're only hurting yourself later in the game too, right? Like, you do not want to see Wayland with money and unrezzed ice, right? Like,
and they've got the world.
The world is theirs.
It is theirs, Wayland's. The world's Wayland's.
So 2 assets. Really behind Grindle Refinery. That's going to go places. Elizabeth Mills, it remains to be seen how useful she will be. 2 assets. So let's get into a couple operations. Starting off with what I think was one of the, or arguably is the most powerful Weyland card that they received in this set. And that's the Power Shutdown. Yeah. You want to take it off? I mean,
it didn't get exploited so much around here, so I, honest to God, didn't believe the hype. And then I was trying to revamp my Genteki deck, and I was already running a couple archive memories, and I was like, yeah, I'll throw 2 Power Shutdowns in. I had the space, right? Oh my God, it's ridiculously powerful. I think I shut down the Corroder like 3 times, and it was like, let's burn that fairy out of here. Like, it's insane. Like, just to kill SMCs and fairies alone. Like, if that was its only thing for me, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I was just like, $1, peace out, $, peace out. It was ridiculous. Peace.
This is as obnoxious as possible.
That's really all I have to say. Like, literally, I thought it was I didn't think it was underpowered, but I just didn't think it was, that good.
No, around here, the only decks you saw it in were the ones that were trying to rip the huge combo. That's the only time we really saw it in action, but it's like, no, it does other stuff, too,
Legit.
It doesn't just kill your entire R&D, it also does stuff.
I think it's probably the best card in this whole set, for sure.
It made Wayland, now you're... Not only are you worrying about meat damage against Weyland, I mean, I'm a Shaper player, and I build like a rig. And, when someone comes along and basically kicks my sandcastle down...
Yeah, but ain't nobody going to be ditching 9 cards to get rid of your 1 breaker.
But sometimes it doesn't need to be, because I have cheap memory.
That's true.
You kill one of the mem chips, right? Because it's...
sack something.
Then I'm screwed too.
He's got all of his huge cost breakers, and he's got like his torch on a Dinosaurus, and he's like 5. And you lose like a bunch of cards.
Yeah, lose like $20 worth of investment.
But even against a Shaper, like, you play SMCs. Could you imagine just losing your SMCs? Like, those are like a huge part of that deck.
Like, I mean, truth be told, I haven't really been hit hard with it because because I was running during this cycle, I was working on that big breaker suite, and I always had some way to get, like, you trash one of my programs, it's gonna hurt me, but I have test runs and clone chips also, and I'm running so many of those so I can see it and get it on the board that it's not gonna, like, there was even a time when, like, I was running the Inti defense, right, like the one zero cost breaker, so that would be the first thing to gone, but then once we didn't see it as much as other areas were, I just, like, forget this card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost, like, we don't see it as, like, I almost don't even...
We got off lucky.
Remember it. Yeah,
we got off lucky.
Yeah, we did get off lucky.
Yeah. But we as an area, I think, generally tend to win as a corporation more by fast advance. We're a fast advance area. We're not a...
I am... excluded from that whole.
He's a super slow.
Okay,
advance.
but you still
I am
okay.
a
So
hard advancer.
You're still winning by most of your times are agenda score,
All of my times.
right? I'm sure there's one or two that someone has killed themselves on a snare, but
I
that's
don't have a
them.
snare in my deck.
No, like before anymore.
Oh, before,
I don't mean
yeah,
like as of
yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday you're completely wrong. My deck is completely different.
Right? I'm just at the beginning of this cycle, like, you couldn't have pulled snares and stuff out. There wasn't enough good Jinteki stuff. But
There isn't. Yeah, you're right that there's not many like corps that are trying to control the flow and the ebb and flow of the game. But this, I think corps done it the best. We got off lucky.
it was interesting, right? Like I think the card serves a purpose. It wasn't. I don't feel it was overpowered, even in that diagnostics.
Because you're still taking a risk, right?
Like for $1, yeah, you're still ditching cards. Like there are ways to get those cards back. I mean, 2 influence, you can see it out of faction. You did see it out of faction, and
I think it's a little over.
No,
A little on the scale of overpowered.
It's
okay,
good.
I don't want to say overpowered.
It's good. It's really good.
I think it's like on par with Caprice. Like, I don't think Caprice is overpowered, but I think it is like a power card. Like, it is definitely worth your time and effort to put it in your deck. If you don't use it, piss your friends off.
power, shutdown. Now, for 3 credits, we go into a card that was probably more talked about when it came out than it is now.
Yeah, it kicked a lot of people in the balls when we were trying to get our alternate
plugged
art
in
scorched
and-
earths.
Punitive Counter-Strike. Now, this is a Black Ops for those people that are...
Running Tally Peralta.
Yeah. And the other one was the
all
Grey
menu.
Ops, you know? This card really did so much when it came out. It was doing work.
It did work.
But not so much anymore.
No.
Most people have... If you're gonna go...
I wouldn't say that, because now that we got Harmony Med Tech...
Yeah, but that's still to be seen. But
Yeah.
there was a huge gap where you just didn't see it.
When it came
That's a good deck.
out, so what I'm saying is when it came out, everyone went to punitive.
Oh.
Right? Those were the ideas. Now it seems that everyone has gone back to Scorched Earth.
Yeah, or
Right.
both. I was a big both fan. Right? Why not?
You can't have it both ways sometimes.
Sure you can.
Can't have your cake and eat it too.
Oh yes, I can. Clearly.
I think I would rather play Scorched than this. Your opinions on the punitive?
I don't like the fact that it becomes redundant at some point in the game. Like, that's what I don't like. I like the fact that it's a good kind of burn your plascrete card, because that's how I think of this.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's like a clear the way for me to drop bombs on the house.
That's exactly the way you play it.
And that's how you played it, and you played it very good. And but I don't like because I feel like you want to use 3-pointers, but then after they get 2 3-pointers or even up to 5 points, then you're like, it's.
But the same argument can be made about, like, what's that thing? The NBN crazy makes all the mid-season replacements. Yeah, because once they've hit match points, like, well, garbage card now. You know what I mean? So, but you still need it. You still need it to win, right? This really helped. This helped with the win more than it did the risk of having a dead card. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with mid-season.
But the you know, the fact that it was based on the number of agenda points stolen the previous turn. I mean, I think, like you said, sometimes it's going to turn into a dead draw, like you're holding it, right? Whereas, you know, the Seasource Scorched combo or mid-season and stuff like that, you have more, I think you have more control over those because you're actively, aggressively pushing something, you know?
They're built to do two different things though. Like this is a reaction card and Scorched Earth is a
that just punishes you for doing stuff, right?
Yeah. I think it was nice to see the trace where it was. Running a base trace of 5.
Yeah.
It's nice to start seeing, you're right, it is nice to start seeing those like higher end traces where it's not like a...
Well, they knew when they designed this that this would become part of the win condition of people's decks.
Yeah,
if that's the case, you can't start a trace. Well, I got a link, you know, it's, you know what I mean?
Well,
you gotta
especially...
have rules of money now, too.
Especially when you look at, like, who the most popular runners at the times and stuff were.
Yeah.
And, you know, when they're already starting with a link.
Andy Link.
Boom.
Kate Link.
Reno was really huge when this came out, too, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and a runner with base link against some of these other traces, it just... What's the point of running some of these traces?
There's not. It's like a Shinobi rant, right?
You know, so it is nice to see someone have to pay. And, you know, and 5's it's not out there, right? Like, it can still...
Oh, yeah,
it can still be
unattainable,
beat.
for sure,
It can still be beat, right? So it's, it was very well done. 2 influence. I have seen it out of action, mostly in an NBN style, you know, when people were experimenting with it. But like I said, most of those people went back to Scorches.
Yeah.
The last operation we have is witness tampering. Now, I might as well let you start this off here.
Yeah, I was not a big fan. That's 4 credits. 4 credits and 2 clicks to get rid of it. It's too bad, right? Yeah, too bad pub. So, I mean, if you have 2 bad pub, I mean, sure, that's a pretty efficient way to get rid of those 2 bad pub. But if you have 1 bad pub, then it's not worth it. If you have any more, then why are you even bothering anyway at that point?
Yeah, it was a weird balance. 4 credits, you know, it's a double operation, gray ops, and only 2. I'm just...
The only thing I can say about it is, like, they must really want it to be hard to get rid of bad pub.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the... I don't think this is a bad card.
We ain't going nowhere.
I just think that is the design that they want it. You know what I mean? They've set the bar really high.
Feels like that, doesn't it?
You know what I mean? Like, like that's what I think. So I think at the bar that they've set for the bad publicity removal, it's not terrible.
But maybe especially just in this faction. Like now, when you think of it like that, bad publicity is kind of hard to clear in Weyland, in the faction that takes it the most.
Yeah.
Right? But when you look at other ones, I mean, like we just looked at that other Jinteki one that's got like a 2-for-1 that clears one. Right? Like
I look at this and I go, man, I would tags are like way worse, you know what I mean? And I kind of equate the same remove a bad pub, remove a tag. You know, it's the same kind of mechanic, right? A tag is way more dangerous than a bad pub, and yet it costs you like way more to remove a bad pub, right? So,
technically not. It costs you the exact same to remove.
Oh, I should say, yeah. No, that's where my point was going. So it's $4 for this. Like if the thing was like $2, then it's like okay.
If you break that down, would you like a card that said pay 2, remove 1 bad pub? Would that be a better card?
Yeah, because then you know it's still like you can just remove a tag with a click and 2. You know what I mean? So, but this would you'd need a card still to do it, right? Mm-hmm. But you can get rid of 1.
The piece that I don't like about this card is the additional click.
Yeah, it kind of crushes it.
That's the one. That's where it doesn't sit well with me. I mean, like $4 to clear 2. I mean, depending on the situation, it might be worth it. But I mean that additional.
There's no bargain. It feels like there's no bargain.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think it's overpriced because I take the cost and I split it in half because you're basically getting 2 events out of 1, so it's saving you a card slot. But the thing is, I think if you know you're gonna have enough bad publicity in your deck to warrant putting this in, just don't care about it.
Yeah, find a way to not worry about it.
Yeah, it's not something you could use as an upside, but just, you know, play to your strengths and weaknesses. And if your weakness is 7 bad pub, learn to win with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I
It's
would
not
say
impossible.
to fix this card, and I mean to fix it to the point where people still wouldn't use it, but it would, you know what I mean? It would either be $2 in the same text or $4, but just remove the extra click.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I think the way that I would have liked to see it, if the cost is still a double and it's still $4, I would have liked the bad pub removal to be up more.
Or all bad pub.
Well, I don't know if
That's
you
too
can
much.
wipe it. All might be, but I
could've
just
used the
mean
crap out of it.
mean something where, like you said, maybe you're getting some kind of bargain for holding it, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was I don't even know if it. Well, maybe let's say if it was 4 with a click to get rid of 3.
But that's still kind of high because, again, you look at the value of it, and this one gets rid of 2. 2 is kind of common. I mean, usually you have 1 or maybe 2 max, you know what I mean? So that's not so bad. As soon as you start making it 3 or 4 or 5, even psychologically, people go, well, I'm never going to have that many bad publicity, and they just don't use the card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think we also have to remember too that it's one influence, so it's meant to be splashed in other factions. So we don't want it to necessarily like just remove all bad pub and then I like how we're talking like we're designing cards and
Yeah.
and we have
if
direct
we were to,
input in other.
Yeah, again, power curve.
So I want you guys to know when we reprint this card for you, it's gonna remove all your bad.
Yeah. For $2 and no clicks.
No clicks.
Yeah, you'll gain a click from the card too.
Yeah, it's gonna be like subliminal messaging or image.
You know, maybe closing thoughts on this card here is that just to say, I really thought that this was the bad publicity cycle. You know, that this was the one where I thought it was going to come like a waterfall, bad publicity, but it didn't. And this card didn't. I've never seen anyone use this card.
Yeah.
So is something coming that, you know, along the way, like maybe as the game does progress, there's going to be more powerful cards that, you know, take a bad pub, especially the ice when you're rezzing it. That maybe this will be needed, but right now, I don't see any time in the near future with the cards that are spoiled, with the card sets that are out, that warrants a play of this.
I think, as a design point, I think they thought the elixirs were going to be more powerful than they are. I thought people would.
Yeah.
I think they thought people would not think they were a better price. For, you know, you take the bad pub. But right now, it's only Grim that I see being used. Everything else is kind of
Operations. Obviously, one really strong one close, and one that who knows what's coming.
Teeters off the table there.
Again, this faction also received 1 upgrade, and this was a strange one.
This card's legit.
Off the grid, 6 to res at a trash cost of 0.
Zip. But it makes sense for the flavor of the card. You know what I mean? But it's still like, man, it's super, super annoying when they've got it up. You know what I mean?
Have you played against somebody with it?
Yeah. Malice made like 3 or 4 decks trying to make this thing work.
Really? I've never played those decks.
Oh.
I've never played against this card.
Really? Oh, man, is it annoying. Like, you gotta go here, you gotta go here, you gotta go here. And you're like, oh, guys. And he makes this, there was like Hadrians in front of it, and I was like, this is costing me so much money. If I didn't have data suckers, I'd have been in trouble.
Thank God. For those
P.S.
Wait. You put it back in?
I put it back in.
That was a day!
We talked yesterday! And I didn't play a game. I realized, I was like, I have a 12 influence. I'm a 12 influence, like data suckers back in. Anyway.
I was so shocked. We did a live cast yesterday. And, oh my God.
So you, general other thoughts on this?
It's a coming. It's a coming. This card is a coming.
Yeah, this is the calm before the storm, before we see these combo Weyland decks.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was leading. Like, even though I didn't see anything now, I do feel that there probably is going to see more Wayland coming through. I think it's good out of faction. With 3, I think there's times that, you know, you could almost get a little bit of, you know, you can turn something else into a replicating perfection. Make somebody run a heavy
something first, and then
HQ,
have to get to the end.
Stall it out.
It
is a real shame that if the runner sees this card before you have it installed, it's gone.
Okay. That is irrelevant with interns. If you're playing this card, you're playing interns, and you don't give a crap if they take it away. You know what I mean?
Just rip it back again.
I love when people are like, you know, oh, I got your Caprice, and they kind of like are like, yeah, I pulled it out of your hand or whatever, and I'm just like, bam, it's in. Like it's sitting where you need it. You know what I mean? It's accessible. It's not losing it. The downside isn't losing it. The downside is just immediately having another slot in the R&D. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but to me, I don't even think that. Like none of my decks really worried about remote servers anyway. I mean, now look at all of the criminal cards that are out right now that everything attacks the hand. I mean, there's not going to be a time when you would put this in now, or even for regionals with that much hand attack damage, because people are going there anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, regardless of whether you can keep installing this over here, I mean, like, it's...
I think you're onto something. I think they'll be as soon as people move past that HQ lock, then we'll start to see this, and we'll start to see it, and it's just ridiculous decks.
I want to know the timing on it though. So can I have it unresed?
No, it needs to be res before the run initiates in order for it to work.
Yeah, but say for instance, if they have ice, but say for instance they,
because
I don't want to talk about it over yet.
To me, I just like I never played against it, and I never really tried to build a deck with it.
Yeah.
Like maybe something in the future, in the lunar cycle, will spark something there. Three is a little heavy to splash, but I mean I think it is probably good out of faction.
Yeah. Well, for what it does, it could literally be win condition, right? So I mean, it's worth it to splash for the 3 people who are doing 4 for the Scorched.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those cards that's hard to rate. Like this, because the potential is like the sky's the limit with this card, really, right? We just don't see it right now. That's the only thing we can say about it.
So 1 upgrade, pretty all right.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna leave all those fun tools behind and get into the real meat of a Weyland deck, and that's our ice selection here. So Weyland got 4 pieces of new ice, and let's start off with the Century. Now the Century is an Elect, like who would have thought we were talking about an Elect before, and now
It's almost like we were prefacing what we were going to
Foreshadowed
talk
it.
about. Yeah.
So Swarm is the one we're at right now. It's one of the ice that introduced this cycle. When you res, you take a bad pub.
Yeah.
Swarm can be advanced, and it gains subroutine trash 1 program unless the runner pays $3 for each advancement token on it.
Yeah.
8 res cost, strength 5. Thoughts there?
I'm gonna let you touch on this because you fought against it.
Yeah, I fought against it the one time, and it's I mean, it was early game, and I honestly didn't expect it to be there, so it got me, and it took care of one of my programs. They had 1 token on it. I thought it was an ice wall. Pretty sure that's where I was going with that, but yeah, and it set me back. I lost the game, so it worked, but that's all I can say. It's like a trap. It's gonna work 1 time, so
It's pretty pricey trap, because not only are you dropping advancements on it, you are paying 8 to res.
yeah.
Yeah, I just think that this falls. It's like it's in Grim Shadow. You know what I mean? It's like, why would I play this when there's already Grim?
Yeah, and it's the thing is that it's exactly ninja-able. You know what I mean? It's at that bang on 5 strength, right?
I don't much like things that you can just have. I mean, granted, if this thing's got a crap ton of advancement tokens on it, it's going to be annoying.
It typically won't.
Though. It doesn't necessarily force you to go find.
Yeah.
Right. Like, let's say for instance, this
That's
had one or two.
I thought it was
counters
Ice Wall
on it. Yeah.
right?
You don't need a breaker for
I
it.
went and found my Croter and lost my Croter. So
Speaking of that, it is nice to have a semi-dangerous card like this that can be advanced, right? Because like I said, if you're playing against Wayland and someone's advancing the hell out of somebody or some piece of ice, you're just like, guess that's an ice wall right there.
Yeah, well,
right?
That would be an honest mistake. Yeah, I can see that happening, right?
But I didn't see this at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Wayland is getting, slowly getting more and more advanceable ice. Maybe that.
At least they learned their lesson.
At least it can be face down when you advance it. Yeah,
they learned their lesson there.
Nobody. What's it called? maybe someone will play that ID one day when they get so much advanceable ice that it's...
Yeah. Or what's his nuts? Mushi no Shin. You can put tokens on like tyrants and stuff now before they... Or is that him? No, that's not him.
No,
Tenon Institute.
Tenon Institute, yeah. You can throw counters on that, that's right. And that makes it better, but I mean...
Yeah, but I don't know...
on Tyrant?
Well, I mean, this one here is 4. So, I mean, I don't think I'd be putting that in my Jinteki deck anytime soon.
No.
Especially at that res cost. Like, Jinteki makes money. But, I mean, there's a better choice than an
Isn't that
8.
something you never thought you'd hear, eh? I mean, Jinteki makes money. It's like...
Serious money.
Yeah.
Serious bank.
This is where it needs to be. I don't think you'll see it out of faction, and it's pretty much... if you like advanceable ice...
It's just weird that it's so porous. You know what I mean? That's what I think it's weird, because normally, like, Wayland's like a firm, like, you know, like, cut and dry. It's like, this is gonna end the run because it's a friggin' Adrian's Wall.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, I don't know, it's just weird that they have that caveat of paying 3 to get through it. Like, that's what I think makes it, like...
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but...
I'll pay the 3.
Under the right conditions,
Only
it
if they
works.
got a turn to advance it. Like, you better put this down and at least advance it one time.
Yeah, but and then you're looking at a thing that costs you a bad pub and 9.
Right? Yeah.
technically.
But I mean,
9,
like, if you
9 and 2 clicks. Like, that is a huge investment.
And now I know, I learned my lesson that if they're like, ice, and then put a token on that, I'm like, that's a swarm. no one pumps an ice
just
wall
have an extra
beforehand.
$3 and then run it.
Yeah, well, I didn't have the
yeah,
time.
because if you don't get an advancement token on that,
Actually, you want to know what I think the inherent flaw of this card is? NAPD contracts. Because now nobody runs without 4 free credits floating around, right?
yeah.
So now you're just going to be like, okay, well, I won't lose that and I'll jack out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
but yeah, I mean, if you look at the other side of it, I mean, if you can get a couple advancement tokens on this nonchalantly and pop it at a time, you could really, like, you know, come into the terms of that taxing ice, like paying $3. Like, I hate paying $3 for a toll booth, let alone
Every time,
multiple sets of $3.
You can really make somebody want to find their parasite and kill this if you're going to invest that much to it.
Gets down to 1, you're like, purge tokens?
Yes, so
Yeah, because everybody lets that happen now. I think anybody who runs Parasite now is just insta-killing everything. I don't think anybody's just like, oh, I'm gonna wait 5 turns for that to go away.
This should work, this should work.
Yeah, this'll do it.
so when so I didn't see Swarm. You saw it once. Anything?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So going from a card that I, you know, never saw, but can be, you know, like Bigfoot, there was a sighting of it, to a card, to a card that I can't even express if you had this in your deck what this means for.
I think it's a pretty good card.
Iris.
If you're running all the bad pub, it forces them to spend it one way or another.
Yeah, but basically, aren't you just breaking even? Like, it just clears it?
Yeah, so if you have 7 bad pub, when they run through this, they're going to lose $7.
All the bad pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like...
But if you have multiple of them, like now, like let's say for instance your goal is to get like 10 or 12 bad pub, and then your deck is like, you know, like your R&D has 3 of these on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to break all of that for like...
Yeah, it takes all the...
I can't even think of the most... What's the most you've ever played against somebody that took bad publicity?
What's the most bad pub that was stacked up, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I think like 5 was the max.
Oh, I've seen like 7 up
Yeah.
there, yeah. I've seen a lot.
I've seen 5 and then...
Were they using that neutral agenda or something? You know, where they get
No,
15?
it was Glitch, and he was just... Like, he was like bombing out freaking geothermal frackings and hostile takeovers. He was just burning them out.
For me, it was 6, and it was me that did it. Remember,
Yeah.
with profiteering.
Yeah, that's why, because I think
Yeah, got all 3 of them.
the most I've seen is 6.
Yeah, like if you're planning on profiteering a lot, this thing is awesome.
Yeah, but you can't really plan to profiteer a lot. That's the thing, because you're only going to see like once, maybe 2 in the deck.
But
you
I
know?
mean, like, aside from literally destroying this ice,
Yeah.
it's gonna cost you out your
No, I know,
face.
but that's again only on one server, and if that's not where they need to go, then you know what I mean.
Yeah, but like nowadays you can almost like kind of guess where people want to go. Like Abe's gonna go to HQ, so throw
Yeah.
a couple over HQ,
Or
you know, Rena's gonna want to go over friggin', you know, I mean, even just to have these over your R&D is gonna be so bad.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem playing against a runner and not predicting where he's going to hit the most these days. Maybe this card does have a future for that stuff, but I have not even heard a whisper of this card being used, being seen, never seen in public.
I'm gonna make an Elect Iris deck. That's what I'm gonna make. I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it.
So, I mean, take it or leave it. It seems like it's a good themed code gate, right? Like potentially it's making you pay.
And splash it, real easy.
Yeah,
for
and
one.
it is 0 credits.
I mean,
if it would have costed anything, I mean,
say for instance you set the scenario where you got unres dice and you have like 7 bad pub, and then you like force them to run through a couple other things. Like nobody saves the bad pub; they always use it first. So then you're like, Iris, pay me money or lose credits. You know what I mean? Like that would be the biggest dick move ever.
It is where it needs to be.
Yeah, I think it's totally where it needs to be.
It's in Wayland, so it can be used. But like I said, never came across it.
It's cute.
Unless bad publicity really takes another upswing in the next cycle.
Like we're gonna get 2 green screens. Like,
not us.
we're gonna be. Oh, okay. Like,
although I do have that problem every time I hear bad publicity, I do think, hey, that's me.
That's because we're self-centered.
Yeah. So that's like I said, unless it takes more of a swing, then this card will pretty much be staying.
Forever be forgotten.
I think its saving grace is the fact that each one is a subroutine. Like,
if
this was just one subroutine, it would be so bad.
Man.
It would be like marker bad.
No, marker good.
But like I said, it has potential, but I think it's too wishy-washy because you'd have to. It's really got to be a deck that's built and tailored for it. So it's
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking the bad pub and you need ice, go ahead.
So 2 of the 4 ice.
Like a kitty.
The last 2 ice. These ones defined Weyland ice, in my opinion.
I don't know about the first one, but
so barriers, and Wayland is I guess they're kind of known for their barriers.
They're the barrier kings. Yep.
Yeah. Curtain wall, 14 credits.
Curtain wall
to res, 6 strength. Right, and that's 6 strength. If it's the outermost piece of ice protecting it, it's going to gain 4. So it does have to be planned for a bit. Maybe this is a good card to have that Genteki little keep moving it to the outs.
I think it's going to be a good card when you Mishu no Sin out an agenda with 3 tokens on it, install a curtain wall with Blue Sun, res this to protect your asset, then bounce the curtain wall back to your hand to Mishu no Sin, put a curtain wall out, res it, back it for free.
Yeah.
That's going to be retarded.
Wait, how are you resing it? Are you going to oversight it?
No, just put it down and then you can hard res it. As long as you got 14, you can hard res it, then back it out, pull 14 back, you know what I mean?
Oh, man.
And then that last time you res an archer and then you flip them all off.
It's like an investment. But no, the good one would be just resing it with the oversight and then bringing it track here, but then getting the 14 back.
Man, Blue Sun's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
That's going to be stupid.
You can have Bioroid efficiencies and shit all in there.
There's going to be so much Wayland.
Even just, now that we're talking about cards that aren't even out, it's even just Eve Campaign is godly.
Yeah.
Like, godly.
Yeah.
I think Curtain Wall's a beast. I have seen it. I've seen it in play.
I seen it. I seen it in a game because I put it in my deck, and then I was like, you know what? I don't really care too much about HQ, so I'm just gonna put that down there for the HQ. I seen it. And then what happened was I hard resed it for the 14, and then I got emergency shutdown, and then I was like, and that's enough of that. And that was
also
the end
you
of it for me.
resed it up.
I resed it, yeah. It was in my deck for exactly 1 game. And I was like, that's too much. There's too much blue, and I can't just have that shut down on me.
Emergency shutdown.
I just think like for me, when I'm playing against this, especially with like my Anarch deck, now we'll take out all of my crap that makes stuff cost more because it doesn't need to cost more.
Yeah.
If they res this, I'm just like, I'll bounce out. Like it's just like I spent a click to make you lose $14.
I thought fire and forget, right? Put it one place, and then you don't have to put any more ice there. You just put it, in one spot. So I was like, I'll put it on HQ because then they'll have to spend all this money to get it, and then
Yeah, it was like it's like the Wotan philosophy, right? All I need is this guy. Don't worry, you can't get in there.
No
and
worries
then someone's
anymore.
like,
Sneak door beta, power shutdown, score the agenda.
yeah. Because in the deck I didn't too much care about my HQ because I could control it pretty well. So I was like, just one piece of ice.
no, I love when someone like you're playing Wayland and they have like an unresed piece of ice there, and you're like, forge activation, and then they're just like.
Yeah.
And you don't get to see it, but it goes in the grave, and you're just like,
Peace out,
What was
Colonel.
that? What was that?
but
They don't even look at it. They're
Or
like,
they go right to their credit pile and start counting.
but even
How many
though,
do I
like,
have?
if you like, that's one of those cards that I wouldn't mind resing through a forge activation order because it really does nothing anyway. Like, it's not like a trap. I don't know. I think stuff that costs that much should definitely be more like a Janus and really hurt.
Have some kind of damage,
Yeah,
longer lasting effect other than you're out.
I like the theme of it that it's got that +4 strength at the end. I think I really hope we see more ice like that.
Positional ice.
That has positional.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's leaning towards it. Like you see this card here. You see Jinteki now, like I said, has that card. For a click, you can switch the position of 2 ice.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not so bad to have Curtain Wall early right now. Like you may, even if you don't have the money for it, put it out. Just to free up the slot in your hand, and if you have that card, later on you can, once you get a big enough server, you're just like, zoop.
Yeah, and if you have 20 credits, this and off the grid, you're scoring big. son.
Huge.
Big.
So I don't think there's much else to say about the barrier. I liked it. I wouldn't use it right now, but I like it. Final comments, Curtain Wall.
I'd rather have a wall of thorns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have anything.
Hadrian.
Yeah. I take a Hadrian's. That's what I did. I took out a Hadrian's and then put in 2 of these. So it was 2 Hadrian's, 2 of those, and it was just I'd really just put the Hadrian back in.
Yeah, and see, I think that's where this one fell a little short, because I think it's making you choose between Hadrian's and Curtain Wall, because you
Just
don't
take the Hadrian's.
You don't want
It's hard to like even comprehend now that there's something that you're taking out because Hadrian's is cheaper. You know what I mean? Like you're switching. You're like, I'm gonna save the money and put Hadrian's in.
Yeah, I'm gonna be thrifty.
But I think it's even more for the fact that because I don't think you want both, because you don't want them to just to have the one barrier breaker and then be able to keep going. You want to diversify your portfolio.
Yeah.
So there it is.
What's the math? So the math, does it equal out to be the same? This only has 3 subroutines.
Yeah, it's $1.
Oh, but it goes up to strength.
Goes into 10.
Okay.
13, 14.
The last piece of ice that Wayland got, I like this one the best. I like this one the best of their ice that they got.
This is tits.
This is really good, especially early game. This is Hive. Res is for 5, base strength 3. Very interesting little catch on it where it loses subroutines for each agenda point that you have. So you can kind of control the strength or the pace of it, but I mean, early game you want to put this out, pop off 2 agendas behind it, and then for the rest of the game it's going to get progressively weaker, and maybe you can just
Blue Suns it back.
Yeah, pull it.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
It's gonna be a pawn shop thing again! Once it's useful!
Oh man,
You are going
Blue
so
Suns.
green when that comes out.
I really thought that at least when we do a corp review, we could avoid pawn. Oh, you can pawn it. You can pawn it. Now,
That's Blue Sunnable.
you're gonna. Blue sun that. Blue sun that.
You understand it's built right in, right?
I'm just gonna every card that I think I'm gonna be like, that's BS. That's gonna be it right now.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
It's total BS.
Oh.
Oh, that's BS.
You see what I put up with?
Everything
so
ever.
back to
That's
Hive.
awesome.
Back to Hive.
It's okay. So this is definitely a card that, when it came out, it saw play. This is definitely a card that will still see play.
For sure. And I mean, like, the only argument against it is that, okay, it's 5 credits, but Wayland's usually not too short on money, so they're okay with that kind of thing. But for early game wise,
Oh, this with the Grindle? You
what's
got
that? Oh, the Grindle. Oh, yeah, you're set then. But so you
There's
have
3 of these.
another great early game ice, obviously Ice Wall, right? But the thing is that, so Ice Wall, if you don't put any investment in it, which most of you do not, like I usually don't either, but it's useless after the midpoint of the game anyway, because they can just blow through it for $1. You know what I mean? Or so this one here, it's going to be basically the same thing, but at the beginning of the game,
reversed,
it's way better. Way better. Like, so taxing. So for them to get at your gear, they have to pay all this money, right? As opposed to just the one hard end run.
Five is a bargain on this res.
Oh, for sure. Just because the amount of money you got to pay, well, it's 5. There's at least 5 subroutines.
Total BS.
Oh, come on, man.
You are seeing this out of faction too. I mean, 2 to splash and such a great barrier.
Yeah.
Totally seeing out of faction. Oh yeah. Real good.
Do you use that?
I used it. Yeah,
I was gonna say, because that would be right up your alley.
used it in
That'd
Harmony.
be all up in your alley.
In Harmony MedTech, it's awesome, and even Astro training out to get that first train going, like
Yeah.
it's just like, and then you don't even care. It's like, it's like after it's done its job, you're like, I don't care on these
first time,
because you're just like score.
I don't care about this. I don't care about it anymore.
But I mean, that was the thing, like. To be early aggressive against NBN, it was like, well, I have Knight, right? And to like, I don't have 10 credits.
10 credits.
You know what
10
I mean?
credits
So
to get it.
it's just like, crap.
Yeah, those people that have not been using Hive, definitely go back and take a look at it. It's one of the great barriers that we've seen.
One of the betters, that's for sure.
Anything else on Hive there?
I like it for the pure fact that, like, I don't think it's hugely detrimental, like Hadrian's Wall and Curtain Wall. Like, if I run and they res this, I feel like they got more of a benefit than I did. You know what I mean? That's what I think the inherent downfall of a lot of barriers are, is just like, it doesn't do much to me, so it's kind of like I paid a click to make you spend that much money to do nothing to me, but I know that you're going to have a lot of speed behind this.
Yeah.
Like 5 credits, like you said, is not unheard of. No,
it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to come by.
Maybe like core set.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been tough.
Well, just imagine opening hand, right? You just install, take a credit, go, and then you can res your ice wall, and then you can res this.
And then with Grindle too, you can like install, and then you can have your geothermal fracking. You can install Hive, install this credit. Next turn, 3 credits, score. Now you have 14 credits. You know what I mean? Like, the train of money is
unending, unyielding.
So that's Hive. Overall, I think, like we said at the beginning, you can see that it was just kind of a stay the course, kind of card pool for Wayland. At the beginning, I think there was those people that really played Wayland, and those people that stayed away from it. Grindle piqued the Wayland interest. A lot of people obviously coming to try it because it was the only new corp identity in this set. And then everybody went back to where they were, back to Jinteki, back to NBN,
back
HB,
home.
Yeah.
They went home.
Yeah, they went home.
Yeah.
It's good though. At least they're trying, right?
Well, yeah, you have to.
You got
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it.
The best way to gain the knowledge to play against something is to actually play it yourself.
Yeah.
So there it is. There's a Wayland set. Let us know what you think.
Cool.
Shoot us some comments. Subscribe if you're not subscribing yet. I don't know why you wouldn't want to subscribe.
You should be subscribing.
You should subscribe.
I don't understand it.
I don't know how you'd be watching this if you weren't already subscribed. It's not like we advertise or anything like that.
No, we're not shameless self-promoters.
Post in the comments if it's a successful off-the-grid deck. That's what I want to see. If you've been using it to some serious success, I'd like to know or see the build.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also let us know what you feel about the faction overall. Was it a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5? Like what was the overall score for you guys?
Yeah. We settled on a 3, right? That's what we
so.
think. Yeah, we think it's just an average 3.
But
It's solid 3.
Cool. Thanks a bunch, guys. Appreciate it.
take care.